Aussie Oracle tweeted this out. He found this video somewhere. And just when I thought, this one I think Zionist brainwashing couldn't be shaken. So these are, I'm going to guess she's Jewish. I'm not good at that. But this woman's going to tell you why she used to believe in Zionism because she didn't know anything. And then as soon as she found out something, she realized Zionism was actually evil. And here we go.
When did you start to ask yourself the question of what about Palestine?
Too freaking late. I started asking myself that question too freaking late. I grew up culturally Jewish. My friends, my boyfriends, my life was surrounded by Jewish.
And what does that mean, culturally Jewish? You never pay retail? What does that mean exactly?
It means your parents my ex went to NYU. Her parents put they weren't particularly religious.
Okay.
There's a guilt, maybe you go to, people go to church on Easter or something. Maybe there's something like that.
So okay.
I'd do Shabbat candles with her on the week, when they would do Shabbat stuff like that.
I got you. Okay.
Okay.
People. In fact, it was kind of cool to be Jewish when I grew up. I didn't even really know the concept of Zionism because Zionism was just Judaism, right? The idea that Israel should be a safe haven for Jewish people. That just was what it was. The concept of birthright made total sense. I didn't even question it. The fact that the government would subsidize a trip to Israel so that you could see your homeland. That didn't strike me as weird at all. And the Jewish population is pretty small, so there's only a few degrees of separation between you and somebody who lives in Israel. And that just felt like part of the package of being Jewish. I didn't question the fact that after the Holocaust, we would need a safe haven. And yes, 6 million people dying this close in terms of the history of the world is terrifying. And yes, Jewish people are not the most beloved people on the planet, right? Traditionally, we're not. So yeah, it made sense to me. But I didn't think about how many other people have been genocided and that they don't get their own theocratic ethnostate. I didn't know that in order to achieve that, in order to get Israel to be Israel, that Palestinians had to be forcibly removed from their homes. I didn't know that it was an illegal occupation. I didn't know that Israel controlled a huge percentage of Palestinians' water. I didn't know that it was a 75-year occupation. I didn't know that Palestinians had to move through checkpoints in order to get anywhere. I didn't know that 90% of their economy is from handouts, that the world has been giving them resources because they don't have any of their own because of said occupation. I didn't know that there were thousands of Palestinian prisoners in Israel that don't get a trial, hundreds of whom are kids. I didn't know that Israel had one of the strongest militaries in the world and provides military supplies to a lot of the rest of the world. I didn't think about the fact that putting an ally in the middle of the Middle East filled with Jews as a gift from the US and from the British would be a super smart political tactic because none of the rest of the world wanted us anywhere. My first thought after the October 7th attack was what a brutal, horrific thing to happen to the Jewish population and to the Israeli civilians. And I still believe that that is true. However, I didn't have context. And now that over 10,000 Palestinians have died, now that I know that Israel dropped more bombs in 6 days than the US dropped in Afghanistan in an entire year of war, now that I've listened and learned for the past 3 weeks, I wish I had asked what about Palestine sooner.
I never asked what about Palestine. Norman Finkelstein told us on the show. I never even bothered to ask that. I didn't even want to know. I mean, I didn't want to know, it turns out. It was kind of bad.
So I think that was very well put, don't you think? I mean, that was oh yeah, it's all made sense, and it's hey, it makes sense unless you think about it. And then
the guilt, the guilt of
there's been a lot of different groups of people who have been genocided, and they don't get their own ethno-state. And so go ahead.
Well, also, it's a really strange thing called an ethno-state when it. I could have converted and married my girlfriend at the time and then gone to Israel and taken my birthright, I'm pretty sure. Right? I'm Jewish now, so I have a right to this. So usually you can't really transition to an ethnic group. So that's kind of a strange thing to put together. And now that all these people are secular, if you're not going to teach them all that Bible stuff, they're not going to get it in their hearts that they're going to start using like normal secular things, rules to apply to it, and it's going to not make sense. And I can't have civil marriage. I have to have a rabbi to, like, I don't do the religious part. I'm just culturally Jewish. No, a rabbi at a synagogue, it's not a real marriage.
No, it's not a real marriage.
That's weird. It starts to fall apart, and then it was.
No, I heard they don't take well to interracial marriage. Like if you're a Jewish girl,
no, Ethiopian Jews didn't do too well,
and you want to marry a black guy in Israel, that doesn't go over well. Is that true?
Yeah, I told you I was gonna have my friend Sharad pretend to be my girl's new boyfriend from Ethiopia.
From Ethiopia.
Shalom to her parents. I thought it would be great because they,
So anyway, I think that that Jewish woman for making that video, that was fantastic. I think it's I think they should that should be passed around the whole world. And
I think it is being passed around a lot. I mean, don't show it to Ben Shapiro.
Don't show it to Ben Shapiro.
Absolutely outrageous.
Yeah.
She must be a self-hating Jew. That's what I revert to immediately.
Yeah. Hey, come see us doing a live stand-up show. We'll be in Burbank, California, Oxnard, California, Venice, California, Palmdale, California. Then we're going to Omaha, Des Moines, Milwaukee, Lansing, Bend, Oregon, Portland, Oregon, Seattle, and Boston, Massachusetts. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for all those tickets.